Hey future doctor, this is Henry from MCAT Mastery, and today we're going to be discussing a topic that's not often talked about, which is taking your MCAT right after your sophomore year. As you can already tell, this deters from the conventional advice of taking it in either the spring or summer of your junior year. The reason this topic is rarely talked about is because most people simply don't feel ready to take it so early on. And that's okay, that's completely normal. But for the select few who do feel ready this early on, they're able to take advantage of this unique opportunity and get so many benefits that they normally wouldn't have gotten if they waited to take it during the normally advised times. So today, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of this approach and whether or not this approach would be a good fit for you. I personally took my MCAT the August right after my sophomore year because that was easily the best approach for me. But today, we need to know whether or not this would be a good approach for you. And chances are, if you clicked on this video, you're already considering this approach. And if not, I may be able to change your mind. The number one biggest benefit you'll get from taking your MCAT early is time. And as pre-meds, time is easily the most finite resource we have. The typical pre-med will be doing their MCAT prep during the same time as when they're developing their AMCAT's primary application. If they have a later date, such as in the summer, they'll also be balancing secondaries and interview prep as well. If they end up falling behind schedule, because life can be super unpredictable, they'll have to balance all of these things all at once, and it can easily get super overwhelming and cause your overall application to suffer, which is the absolute last thing we want. By taking your MCAT early on, you are able to avoid all of this and dedicate an entire summer to just MCAT prep and nothing else. If you end up getting a great score, that's awesome. You have a great score and now you're able to relax during junior year because you'll only need to focus on just classes rather than balancing them along with prep. You could also use this extra time to enhance your extracurriculars to ensure that you truly are a well-rounded applicant. Once summer rolls around, you'll be able to dedicate the needed time to properly and thoroughly polish your AMCATs, knock out your secondaries, and crush your interview prep. Now, this is best case scenario. What if you end up getting a score that you aren't happy with? Taking it early can also benefit you in this situation as well, because you now have so much more time to properly plan your retake. Instead of having to turn your score around in the span of weeks, you'll now have months to thoroughly redesign your approach and take it during the normal time, just like everyone else. This also applies if you're super close to your test date and realize that you're nowhere near where you want to be. Under normal conditions, this means scrambling to reschedule or even taking an unintended gap year. If you start preparing as if you're going to take it early and realize that you bit off a little bit more than you could chew, all you have to do is simply take your test date and shift it over to your junior year instead of everything else I just mentioned. So those are the major pros. What are the cons? While taking it early can save you lots of time, it can also cost you lots of time and money as well. Mainly if you end up having to retake, because you're now spending 2 years instead of 1 to take it. In addition, many schools don't look as favorably on retakers and may question your judgment and decision making if you end up taking it early and get a mediocre score, even if you get a great score on your normal time retake. But all of this is assuming that waiting it out to take it during your normal time wouldn't have ended up causing you to retake in the first place. This is why it is so important to take your MCAT only once you feel fully ready and fully prepared, regardless of whether you take it early or not. A con that's much more fundamental in nature is that taking it early can be super isolating, since your fellow pre-med classmates might not be taking it early with you during this time. Because of this, you may not get the study groups and overall support that you desire. In addition, taking it early will require lots of self-teaching because you'll likely be missing a few MCAT prereqs during this time. while having older pre-med classmates or meeting some fellow pre-meds in online MCAT groups can help overcome the isolation aspect. And any self-teaching fears can be overcome by realizing that MCAT prep will always require at least a little bit of self-teaching, since undergrad courses rarely ever cover everything that's needed on the MCAT in the way that it will be tested. Both of these cons are definitely things to keep in mind. So now that we've gone over the pros and cons, let's go over who this would be a great fit for. If you're the type of person who prefers to give your absolute all to only a few things, rather than spreading yourself super thin over lots of things, you should definitely be considering this approach. If you're the type of person who's very internally motivated and absolutely loves self-teaching, then this approach is also definitely for you. While you may go into a few subjects totally brand new, such as biochem, sociology, or psychology, being able to laser focus your studying during this dedicated summer will let you focus on these topics from a purely MCAT standpoint, rather than being bogged down by any excess minutia covered in the undergrad class that won't show up on test day. In addition, taking it early can also help you out during the review phase, because you'll be less removed time-wise from your more fundamental classes from freshman year, such as Gen Chem, which is super popular on the MCAT. Instead of it being 2 years since Gen Chem, it's now only 1 year from Gen Chem. This point also applies if you ended up having a super rigorous coursework, or you came into college with lots of credits from high school and have already completed many of your major MCAT prereqs during this shortened time. Delaying your test date in this situation will only increase your chances of forgetting this information, which can end up costing you points on test day. Most of all, you need to be someone who has already done their research on the MCAT and is very well informed on the various sections, time limits, and the best tried and true strategies to succeed if you want to get the absolute most out of taking it early. If you're watching this video, it's obvious that you're already performing your due diligence and are well on your way to gaining a super in-depth understanding of the MCAT and the strategies needed to maximize your score. Here at MCAT Mastery, we understand the importance of using only the best MCAT strategies, regardless of when you're taking your MCAT, and have formed our entire philosophy around this, because we know that these strategies are absolutely key to getting our students their desired score increases. Our 100% free emails are jam-packed with many of these strategies, along with some uplifting motivation to keep you focused during this very long and strenuous journey. Our free PDF downloads of must-know MCAT topics are also a great way to gauge your current understanding and whether or not you have enough base content knowledge to truly consider taking your MCAT early. If you feel that you need more personalized help, because MCAT prep is not a one-size-fits-all solution, you can sign up to work one-on-one with me or one of our other amazing tutors, and we'll help guide you every single step of the way, regardless of whether you're taking your MCAT right after sophomore year, during junior year, or well after graduation. If you're already done with the MCAT, we also provide admissions consulting, because we understand that there's so much more to getting a medical school acceptance than just your academic metrics like GPA and MCAT score. We've helped countless students achieve their dreams of getting into medical school and would love to do the same for you. All of the links are in the description below if you're interested. Well, that's all I have today for you, future doctor. So until next time, remember, you got this.